Alright, welcome back to my channel. I am your host, The Lion. Today we're talking about betrayal. Right, but not necessarily that. More like some people cannot take this level of information. So it's a little insight on the paradox of everything that I'm trying to show you and teach. So welcome any new viewers, any new subscribers, welcome. So let's go ahead and jump in.
1. The truth. No one wants to hear. Nietzsche asserted a disturbing idea. The one who receives a great help can lead someone to hate their benefactor. Why? Because receiving creates a debt, and debt wounds the ego. When you help someone in a significant way, financially, emotionally, professionally, you shift the invisible balance of power in the relationship. You become the one who can. They become the one who needs. And in the human mind, this creates a deep tension. 2.
There you go. Now what is this? This is what I say a lot. And it comes down to no good deed goes unpunished. Now, here's my whole point. I'm not trying to show you to avoid it. I'm trying to show you to afford it. Big difference. You can afford this help that you dish out. Matter of fact, that is indeed what a real man does. All right, let's continue.
2. The invisible humiliation of helping. Helping someone is noble, but for the recipient it can unconsciously mean, I wasn't capable, I'm dependent, I'm inferior. Nietzsche often spoke of the will to power, this fundamental need to feel strong, autonomous, capable. When you help someone in a moment of weakness, you become a witness to this weakness. And some people can't stand that someone has seen their vulnerability. So what do? They reject the source of the discomfort. Sometimes they reject you. 3.
That's a good sign, though. That means you're doing something right. But understand, this is at the core of this thing I call game, right? The game of love and war, relationships, all of this is at the core. Fundamentally, if you can understand this that I'm saying, you will take your game to next level. You will be able to afford the cost of the good deed. No good deed goes unpunished.
Why gratitude turns into resentment. At first, the person is grateful, but over time, a subtle psychological mechanism kicks in. The more help, the heavier the emotional debt. And if the person can't repay fairly, they feel embarrassment, guilt, inferiority, then resentment. This resentment looks for someone to blame, and the easiest one is you.
Now you see the pattern there? Every single stricken back, right, or pushback, or resistance is from weakness, right? It comes from weakness, right? Not the ability to handle this, right? Or for lack of a better word, low capacity. So there's a phenomenon in all of this, right? And that's another point, right? And understand, all this is but a tool. If you can handle this, if you're strong enough, which is a message all in its own, all by itself, right? In the middle of all this. That's what's crazy, right? But anyways, let's continue and I'll explain some more.
4. The power imbalance. In every relationship, there's an invisible balance. When you constantly give, time, money, energy, something. Opportunities, you put yourself on a pedestal, and the other person steps down, even if it wasn't your intention. But nobody likes feeling inferior. Some people would rather destroy the relationship than accept a subordinate position. It's brutal, but it's human. 5.
There it is again. You see, it comes from this ego, right? This weakness. But understand, I want you to see the patterns every single one of these markers, right, are one and the same. You just must understand and connect the dots, which is my point, right? What I'm trying to show you here. So remember, no good deed goes unpunished. Here I am showing you the gears, the inside, the inner working of that phenomenon. Okay?
Silent jealousy. Sometimes your help highlights something even more dangerous. The difference in status. If you are more stable, more disciplined, more successful, your help becomes a mirror, and not everyone can stand that reflection. Instead of rising above, some people prefer to put others down. Instead of thanking, they belittle. Instead of admiring, they criticize. Nietzsche wrote that the weak man transforms his powerlessness into morality.
There it is again. Now that one you must put all your attention damn near, right? Look for this marker here. They turn their weakness into morality. Understand? Is it clicking? Ding, 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 ding. What's happening around the world today, all right? Politically. I don't want to get political on this channel, but there you go. There it is. Fundamentally, it's pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. But I don't point out the morality for the political reasons. I point out the morality as more of a red flag. Okay? So when you see this, it's, watch out, right? Anybody that points to morality cannot be trusted, right? That's one of the rules.
He calls this the resentment. 6. Why you are not the problem. If someone betrayed you after you helped them, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It simply means that the human ego is fragile, independence is vital, and emotional debt is heavy. Most betrayals don't stem from malice. They stem from inner discomfort. 7.
There it is. That's the looking in the mirror. Nobody wants to look in the mirror because that makes you look at yourself, at your problem, at your faults, at your responsibility, at what you have done and want to do. Ain't nobody ready for that, right? Except for those that are strong enough. And again, it goes back to weak and strength, non-men and real men, and this is the everlasting battle, right? That's what this is.
Nietzsche's most important lesson. So, should we stop helping? No, but we must help differently. Here is the implicit rule Nietzsche teaches us. Help without creating dependency. Help in a way that makes the other person stronger, not more indebted. Instead of solving their problems for them, getting them involved, the solution. Instead of giving without limits, set clear boundaries. Instead of saving, encourage autonomy. Because true power isn't about saving someone. It's about enabling them to no longer need saving.
This is true. However, this is hard to do. Now I have an internal struggle within myself with this one. Because it's like when you try to do something like this and you have the ability to, it is simple to help someone by technically not saving them, even though you kind of are, but it somehow crosses that line of manipulation, right? Which is, because think about it, you have to trick somebody, right? And I know how that sounds, but you got to trick somebody into saving themselves. But you're tricking them ultimately, right? Which is even worse, because now you're doing it in incognito, right? Which again, I could get into it, but it's really complicated to explain. So, well, let's continue, but you get the gist of it, right?
8. How to avoid being betrayed after helping. Here are 5 practical principles. 1. Never help to be liked.
Now these are the important ones. This is where you pay attention to the cost, okay? Never help anybody or any girl, right? To be liked. This is one of my bigger things that I always talk about in my videos, right? Do not count the cost. That's how simple it really is. Don't count the cost, right? If you're going to do something for a girl, right? Or anybody for that matter, do not do it for them to approve of you or liking you, right? This is where it all falls apart.
2. Never expect eternal gratitude.
There it is. Don't expect something in return. It's pretty simple, right? Here it is, what I've been saying. Do not count the cost. And this falls in the realm of pretty much anything you do, right? There's a saying in Spanish. No Indian gives a step without a huarache, or a sandal in this case, right? I'll say it in Spanish, right? No hay indio que da paso sin huarache. What does that mean? Right? It means no Indian, or in this case, you can do anybody, right? Nobody gives a step without a shoe, right? Without wearing a damn shoe, right? That's what that means. Right? So basically, you need the shoe, right? Or you won't do the fucking step. You don't want to pay the price, right? That's what that means. Analogy world, right? But anyways, there you go, right? This falls into anything that you do. Anything that you do raises a flag, especially in woman world, right? Raises a flag that you're doing it for a reason, and that's the point.
3. Never remind others of what you've done.
Exactly. This is the one that gets all guys into that big ass problem. The problems that I speak of trying to avoid. So if anybody that made it this far into this video today, right? Here's the lesson of the day, right? You can avoid most of your problems with your significant other, your girlfriend, your wife on the side, whatever the hell it is, right? You can avoid all your problems with this one right here. All right? Never, ever bring up anything that you might have done in the past for them. Because then it's basically like saying everything you've ever did, anything you've ever gave, or anything you ever bought, right? You did it for a reason. And their reason is going to be malice, right? It's going to be, not only is it malice, but now you're giving them the excuse that anything you've ever done and will do moving forward, right, is fake. Especially in woman world. See, but that's how simple it really is. If you don't bring it up, right, any shit that you've ever done, then you don't give them any ammo, right, to turn around and say, well, all the shit you've ever done, you didn't mean it, or whatever the hell. And now you're in a big ass pickle. Because now you gave her the excuse that she will use over and over and over again. But again, it comes from a place of power and the other side of no power. Pretty simple, right? Simple stuff once you break it down. Anyways, let's continue.
4. Only help if you're prepared to receive nothing in return.
There it is. Again, you do not count the cost, right? Only help or give if you do not want anything in return. That's how it works, but it's a big paradox. Because in all reality, we all do something to get something. That's just the fact, right? But at some point, if you do it right, this is the point. If you do it right, then yes, indeed, you can get something in return, right? That is right. It could be gratitude. You know, it could be favor for you scratch my back, I scratch yours. You gotta find, right? And this is for all my new subscribers, right? You gotta find that thing, right? It's the thing. Now, what would this thing? I'll give you an example here, right? There's plenty of things that you can. The invisible things are the ones that I try to point at, right? Like self gratification, right? Feeling good, right, for doing something good. You know what? Those are things that you indeed can get out of this, right? Things that the other person cannot give to you anyways, right? Those are the correct things to look at. But that would make this video into a whole nother video, right? Long ass video, but let's continue.
5. Don't give to the point of unbalancing the relationship.
There it is, right?
Emotional maturity. It consists of giving freely and accepting that not everyone will be able to carry what you offer.
Now that one is crazy, because this is the one where you must understand. Now it took me a while to understand this, and because it was always a big letdown. It's like, why? It's like attacking the same problem and getting the same result, and it's like, damn, is there any other way? You get frustrated until you realize that this is true. You have this power, right? And this is everybody. Everybody has this power. All this power is available to everybody, right? But once you find this power, you try to share it. It's like the cave story. Now, I've told the cave story plenty of times, right? But I'll sum it up here, right? The cave story. So everybody's in a cave. They're all being manipulated, right? By the big fire in the middle. And somebody in the back is doing the shadows. And somebody in the front is working the fucking fire. And someone in the middle is translating the shapes, right? The shapes and the shadows, and telling everybody, right? This is the media today, right? Everybody telling the misinformation and the information and the propaganda and all this other crap, right? But every now and then, somebody in the crowd gets up and ain't paying attention to any of that crap because he ain't a sheep, right? Pretty simple, right? So he wanders off. He finds the way out of the damn cave. Oh, shit, right? Now he's staring into the world. Here's the analogy, right? And it's more truthful than ever, this cave analogy, right? Now he's out there all by himself. That's right. Ding, 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 right? That's how you truly learn. Sadly, right? That's the paradox about all this and this that I speak of. But anyways, so he's out there and he sees the world, and he sees as far as the eye can see. He sees the sunlight and the trees and the animals and all this other crap. And he's like, holy crap, it's like this realm, right? This next level realm of freedom. Anyways, what do you do? Just like, it's a natural part of life. You want to tell everybody. So he goes back, clearly, goes back and tries to save the people, right? The sheep, So he goes back and he tells everybody, you can't believe what I saw, right? There's a way out of the cave. You can be free, right? You can run as far as you want, up, down, left, right, the sky, right? He's trying to describe the fucking clouds and shit and the feeling of the sun. And what do the people do? Well, it's always some jackass, right, that starts it all. Oh, this guy, he lost his mind. He's crazy. They all get together and kill him. That's the cave. That's what this is. Right? Anybody that tries to free the group, the sheep, sadly, right, is prosecuted, right? Killed, taken out. That's the way this works, right? But there you go. Connect the dots. And again, right, it's the same thing, right? The cave analogy. This has happened throughout human history, right? The greatest among us, Jesus himself. Anyways, let's continue.
9. The final truth. Strong people appreciate help. Weak people experience it as a threat.
There it is. That's as simple as an explanation as you're ever going to get. This is the one that set me free, right? Finally. It set me free, and I understand now that it doesn't matter, right? I cannot choose, right, who I help. I cannot choose who's going to be, the person that gets it. I can't do that. I can only try, right? That is determined by all of you. You, the viewers. You got two choices. It literally comes down to the most simplest two choices, right? You're either strong enough or you're just too weak and cannot handle it. But that's a choice that you must make on your own, right? That's how simple this is. That's why I always say it's so simple that it's hard. Because some of the complications, right? Some of the parts that trip guys up, or people in general, right? Struggles are struggles inflicted all by themselves. Because you see, this power, right? It comes to another quote, a dumbass quote, but with great power comes great responsibility. Some people just can't handle the responsibility part, right? It's just not there. If we all had it, and this is the sad part, and through all of philosophy and human history and anything that ever meant anything on the face of the planet, this has been our struggle, right? Humanity's big ass struggle of good and evil, right? Of weak and strong. This is it, right? If everybody just thought of common sense, right? Just regular based common sense, or just based morals, right? We wouldn't have damn near 99% of human problems, right? Every little, pretty much every little struggle or problem, or any of the problems that humanity has, is self-inflicted. That's what's crazy. If you really sit down and try to look at society today, most of the shit, regulations and laws and all that stuff, pretty much everything has been set by ourselves. We are in this situation because we want to. Right? That's self-inflicted. Understand? Which is why most people cannot handle the big questions, right? The simple ones. I say it's always the simple ones. It's like, well, would we have problems if the population was down to 6? Right? Probably, yeah. Right? But it would be easier to single out, right? Like, well, you got 6, and you see only one of them's doing all the problems. Well, there you go, right? Comes down pretty simple to catch, right? But when you have 6 billion or trillion, you're talking in percentages, right? But anyways, I want to get into that. Let's finish this video for today.
This isn't a hard and fast rule, but it's a common pattern, and understanding this will save you a lot of pain. If this video resonated with you,
give me a like, share, subscribe, right? Comment down below. Understand that this is what I offer to you in this, my channel, right? We're going to tackle this and much, much more. Movies, right? Odyssey. We're finally going to go into the big things because, well, not the big things, but most of other stuff that I like, because I realize this now. This is not for everybody, right? It just is what it is, and I've accepted it. So now we're going to go for the fun things, the entertaining things, right? The good stuff, the movies. We got movies. We got sports, right? Just social stuff that goes around the world, right? Pop culture, as they say. Collectibles and action figures, everything that we like, all the good stuff that I like. I myself, right? I'm not going to say I'm a damn nerd or anything like that because I don't fit the criteria, right? I don't. But, hey, most of the shit that I have, I guess you could say is nerdy, but I just find it to be cool, I like this stuff. It gives me nostalgia, right? And isn't that the point at the end of the day, right? It's what gives to you. It's the experience, right? That's what this is all about. So just like relationships, right? And to you, my viewers, I offer this to you, right? What is, and if you made it this far, you're going to get yourself a freebie. What is the greatest thing a woman can give you? Huh? The experience. So there you go, right? And if you learn to love it, and trust me, with enough experience, you do indeed learn, and just as a bonus, you start loving it and liking it. And before you know it, you're at next level and you can't have enough of it. You want it over and over and over again. So there you go, right? I'll see you on the next episode.